Hello, healers and health seekers. It's me, Ichoda, healing on the medical medium protocols for 2 years and just over a month. And right before I came to make this video, I spilled some water on my shirt and it will dry. It's just water, but I'm like, of course, put on a shirt, spill water on it immediately. Brilliant. That's how I do. That's me. Actually, it's something I joke about all the time that A, gravity is really heavy in my kitchen, and B, my dog always hangs out when I'm in the kitchen because she knows I'm going to drop something or spill something. I'm really good at that. I'm really good at messes. Clean them up well, but I make them. I make big messes. Okay, today's video is a Q&A. I got a question. The question was, how do you stay strong on the protocol when you're not seeing the progress that you want to see? Or how do you keep the faith? How do you know that it's working? How do you believe in it and keep doing it and stick with it when you're having a hard time? Like maybe you're having an extended flare, or maybe things were going well and now you're having an extended flare because you could see healing before and you could see progress, but all of a sudden it's plateaued, or it's not what you thought it should be, or perhaps you're looking at social media and comparing yourself to other people and thinking, oh, well, these people are healing like this. What's wrong with me? How come this isn't working for me? And I thought, yeah, that's a really good topic for a video, because I do see that happening. And I'm not saying that the person who asked this question is doing this. I'm saying I have seen this happen where people compare themselves to others on social media. I've done it. I've looked at other people healing in the medical medium community and thought, oh, well, they're doing better than me, or what are they doing, or whatever. And it's good to do that if you're drawing inspiration. If you're saying, oh, this person has all these great tips and all these great recipes, and let me take those recipes. And when you're in a good space, obviously you're going to be like super happy for everybody who's healing. Even when you're in a bad space, you're going to be super happy for everyone who's healing. You just might think, why does my healing not look like that? And here's why. Because everybody has different bodies. We all have different levels of toxins in our liver. We have different levels of toxins and viruses passed down from generation to generation. What did our parents go through? Did our parents live through wars? Were they exposed to toxins? Were they in dangerous areas? Were they toxin-wise? My family, for example, is from Missouri, and I don't know if you ever heard or seen the documentary called Atomic Homefront, but right next to where my family lives, not literally next to like neighborhood wise, but like there's a St. Louis County that's north of St. Louis, and North St. Louis County has an open toxic waste dump that is leaking and has been leaking for years, and the government knows about it and they haven't cleaned it up. And so somebody found out about this and they did a documentary called Atomic Homefront. And I recommend, if you know anybody from that area, to have them watch it and get on board and realize why cancer rates are soaring in that area. Cancer rates and all kinds of other illnesses, because they are being exposed to toxic waste and radiation, and it's really, really scary. And that's not the only area like that. See, that's like one example. They did a documentary of this one area, but that's not the only area in the United States like that has buried toxic waste that's probably leaking into the groundwater, that's leaking out, that's going everywhere. And I don't mean to freak you out. Anyway, that's a little bit of a tangent. But the point is, we all have different toxin levels in our body. If we are living in areas like that, or maybe we're living near military bases or gun ranges or companies that are polluting, like paper companies, or really any manufacturing industry has tons of pollution coming out of it, and they dump into the water and they dump into the air, and it gets in the soil. And so there are our toxin, or maybe you live by agriculture where they're spraying pesticides everywhere, or you live by an airport where you're getting jet fuel dumped down from the air all the time because you're in the flight path, and they discharge their fuel. So many different toxins in our environment, and so many different levels that our bodies can be exposed to at any given time. If you travel a lot, you're exposed to a lot of radiation, a lot of different pathogens, all kinds of stuff traveling. And there's just so many things. I just keep thinking of things I could name. If you're in the medical industry and you're exposed to all these x-rays and stuff like that. There's so many ways we can get different toxins and pathogens in our body. Oh, I didn't tell you about my juice today. I always like to tell you about my juice. So today I'm drinking, this particular juice is a combination of cucumber, apple, lime, and dandelion greens, and it is delicious to me. I totally copied the recipe from Shweta at Mindfully Vibrating. She posted about her juice in her Instagram stories, and I was like, oh, that sounds good. I have all of those ingredients, and I made it because it's really good. So yeah, cucumber, apple, dandelion, lime. Whew, it's yummy. That's good. And later I will have cucumber separately, because I like to make sure I drink a cucumber juice every day separately, because when you drink cucumber juice separately, like not mixed with other things, it has its own separate healing properties. Just like celery juice, you can have a great juice of like celery, apple, cucumber, and that's a really healing juice in and of itself, but it has different properties and characteristics than separately drinking celery juice and separately drinking cucumber juice. That's what I'm trying to say. So I'm going to do both. It's a really good juice though. I recommend it. Anyway, so our bodies are different. We have different pathogen levels. We have different forms. There's so many varieties of Epstein-Barr virus. There's so many varieties of strep. There's so many varieties of shingles. We can have so many different combinations, and then not to mention all the HHVs and all that, and all the other bacteria, E. coli and staph and all that. Look, we can have so many different combinations of pathogens that we are exposed to, and whatever's passed down from generation to generation. And I don't mean genetically, I mean stuff that's stored in our bodies, like DDT that our parents have stored in our bodies from generations past, because they put it on everybody everywhere in the 40s, 50s, and 60s. Not 40s, I think 50s and 60s they did. Like, they drive through neighborhoods and people would run after the cars, soaping themselves up in DDT, and they'd spray it on food, and it's crazy, and I don't even want to go into DDTs. Like, oh my gosh. This planet be cray, okay? This planet be cray. We do some crazy stuff that is super harmful to the people on this planet and all life on this planet, not just humans, that is super harmful to all life on this planet in the name of the almighty dollar. I don't have to tell you, you know. I don't have to go into that because that's gonna run my adrenals. Let's not do that. But let's talk about how we cope, okay? Let's get back to the subject at hand and talk about how do we deal with this? How do we deal with, say you start and things are going well and you're seeing healing progress and certain symptoms are feeling better and you're feeling better, and then all of a sudden you have a viral flare again. For whatever reason, because that's the thing, is we can go out into the world and get exposed to new strains of staph and new strains of strep and new strains of Epstein-Barr virus that we haven't had before. We can get exposed to these things and that can cause a flare, or we can have some stressful event cause a flare because our adrenals are running, or we can have an injury or anything, a dental appointment, like anything. All these things can trigger a flare in our bodies. And so there could be all kinds of stuff going on that causes that. I have to tell you, it does not mean that you're not healing just because you're having a flare. Even if that flare lasts months and months, okay? Now, please don't panic. I know that's hard. I know it's hard because when you're feeling bad, it's super hard to have positive thoughts and feel like you're healing and think, oh, this is okay, it's temporary or whatever. Like you can do that when it's a week and it's just some heavy detox and or maybe a minor flare or something and you're like, it's okay, whatever. I know, but when it goes on a long time, you start to doubt and you start to think this isn't working and you start to think it's me, there's something wrong with me, I'm exceptional, I'm the one person who can't heal on this protocol. You're not. Please let me reassure you. Let my gentle motherly voice, I'm just kidding. Let me reassure you though, for real, that you are not the exception to this rule. It's just that you have this deep stuff going on that needs healing. And I say this all the time. I'll say it again. I'll say it as many times as I need to, and that's fine. We just think of your body and the layers of toxins and stuff. It was like an onion. Even your organs have, like, think of your organs as separate little onions. Each organ is its own onion. Your kidneys are an onion, your lungs are an onion, your liver's an onion, your heart is an onion, your brain is an onion. We have all these little onion organs in us. And the reason I say onion is because onions have all those layers, right? You peel back one layer and there's another layer comes up to be healed. And sometimes we have stuff so deep buried in our bodies that it takes a long time for it to come up. Like maybe we're trucking along and we've been healing for like 18 months or something. And then all of a sudden we're like, hey man, I'm doing well and I'm feeling better and I'm noticing symptoms improving and I'm able to do more and blah, blah, blah. And then all of a sudden something happens, something triggers something, and I can't say what because we're all different. And suddenly you're back in bed. And suddenly you're feeling like you did, maybe not quite as bad as when you first started, because maybe you're a little bit more functional, but like you're feeling pretty bad. And like you're exhausted again, and you can't. My battery died. I had to change it. While I was changing it, my son needed food. Had to do that. I'm back. Let's get back into the video. What happened? You get triggered. You're taken out. You're flaring. You're feeling not functional again. You're thinking, what am I doing wrong? This isn't working. Something. You're having all kinds of thoughts because that's what happens. I mean, it's so hard to, how do you stay positive when you're feeling like crap? You can't. It's just how the body and the brain works. And part of what happens too is that neurological stuff. If you're having a flare, the neurological stuff's happening too. So of course the depression, the anxiety, that's all coming back. All the spiraling thoughts, all that stuff. And so how do you keep positive? Or even not even keep positive, but how do you stay focused? How do you believe that this is working and stay the course? And I don't know that I have the answers, but I can just say what I think, right? Because I don't know. I mean, here's what I know. I've been immersing myself totally by choice because I get immersive. When I get excited about something, I just want to know more about it, and I really love to learn, and I love new information, and I love to just soak it up, and I want to know every little thing that I can know because I want to do it right. That's how my brain works. Like, I want to solve the puzzle. And so for me, I've been doing medical medium, and I won't say that I was like that fully from the beginning because I just couldn't focus in that way from the beginning. I read the book and I would listen to the weekly radio shows, and I did do the Healing Path course that he has on his blog for free. If you've read the book, then it deepens your understanding of what's in the book, the first book, Medical Medium, The Secrets Behind Chronic and Mystery Illness and How to Finally Heal. It deepens your understanding of that information, and I really recommend the Healing Path. It's really great. And then I wasn't I wanted to learn more, as time went on and as I was figuring things out. I just want to learn everything I can. And I noticed that in Anthony's radio shows and in the subsequent books, there's always like more and more information. There's sort of an overview of the information that's been given, but there's more and more and more information, extra little bits that come out in the radio shows, extra little bits that questions answered in the Facebook groups from way back before. He's not able to do that anymore, I think for legal reasons, but before he used to be able to answer questions in the Facebook groups, and he did. The Facebook group, there's just the one, Medical Medium members only. It's for people who have already read the book, at least the first book, but you can go back through the archives and read the questions. So there was that. And then I've done cleanses with Muniza, and she is a medical medium practitioner. She understands his information. She has worked with him extensively, and she has a lot of information that fills things in and helped deepen my understanding. Doing cleanses with her helped deepen my understanding of the information. So there's all these ways to take in information. So for me, both taking in the information, but also doing all of the practices that he said in the book, not just the food and supplements, because that's a big part, but it's not the whole picture. Doing the meditations that he outlines in the back of the book and talking to the angels every single day, even if I thought it was weird and silly, that has all been part of it. And for me, that is what has helped me have that faith and have that belief and know that I'm healing even when I am not seeing certain specific results that I think I should see or whatever. And also, I'll be honest, I really think that not having an expectation of what would happen helped me a lot. Because I have never healed before. I've only gotten sick. So how in the hell am I supposed to know what healing looks like? Truthfully, like I never had healing before this. So for me to say like it should look like XYZ, how do I know? How do I know what it should look like? I know, once I was in the social media community and I saw how healing looked for other people, like it doesn't mean that it looks like that for them all the time. And when we post things in social media, remember, we're just posting little pictures of our lives, like little snippets. It's just the stuff that we're willing to let people see. And a lot of times people are only willing to let people see the positive. And also, honestly, you want to encourage people. You want to say like, no, but this does work, even though that there are sometimes really some hard times about it, it still does work. And what's the other option? That's what I always think about. Okay, well, what's the other option? The other option is trying some other thing that you don't know the source of it and you don't know where it's coming from and if it's true and if somebody just whatever, but I get it. I get it. It can be hard to hold a belief or faith or trust in a thing when your trust has been broken so many times and your faith has been broken so many times and we have been betrayed and it's like you don't know up from down, left from right because there's so much conflicting information and you think, well, how do I know that this is legit? And your gut, it's your instinct in your gut. Your instinct in your gut led you here, led you to medical medium and led you to the healing path that you're on. And I know it's super hard to trust ourselves, especially when everybody outside of us, like if somebody sees us having a flare in our family and they're like, oh, this isn't working. And see, I told you, you have to do something else, because that is what happens. That is so many times what happens. And that's what makes us doubt ourselves, because the people around us that we love and care for deeply and we trust them are saying, you're wrong. This is wrong. Don't do this. It's not familiar to me, so you shouldn't do it, and you should do this and go take pills at the doctor. But we did that, didn't we? Like, we were down that road. We didn't heal from that. That didn't help us heal. It got us sicker, and it didn't get us answers. And we know in our heart of hearts that the answers are here. And we know in our heart of hearts that our bodies can heal. And it's hard to trust that. It's hard to trust that because everything outside of you is saying all the people around you are saying. You can't trust yourself. You can't trust this. Oh, these people just want to make money off you and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, but he's not making money off of us. You could buy the book, but you know what? You could go to the library and get the book. Anthony doesn't care how you get the information, how you get the book, as long as you get it. Like, he doesn't need you to buy the book from him because he's just giving the information, and he doesn't make any money from any of the supplements he recommends. He's not in partnership with any of them. He does not in any way get any kickbacks or anything extra. And I know I've seen people say, oh, you're naive if you think that, because everybody does that. Yeah, they do. You're right. Everybody does do that. Everybody else does do that. Anthony is the only, and I remember, I don't know if you know this about me, but before I found Medical Medium, I was super into research, like science and research. I read medical papers. I read medical books. I read anything I could get my hands on, any cutting edge research about any number of my diagnoses. So many of them. I read so much stuff, and it was my full-time job. That was my full-time job, was just researching and trying to find answers. And I could never, there would be close, but not the answer to the root cause. It would be like, well, we think it might be viral, but we don't know what to do about that. And they didn't know quite where it went. And the Medical Medium books have been the only thing that has ever been that missing link, connected the dots. And when you really fully listen to the information and all his information, you will see that it is loaded with science. When you look at the Medical Medium information, you read the books and you hear the podcasts and the radio shows, and you kind of go back through archives if you're like me, and you look for every little morsel of anything you can find, and you make notes and you keep it all together and whatever. You see that the answers are there and they make sense. And look, our bodies have infinite wisdom that we do not understand. Our bodies, even if we cannot see on the outside that we are healing, if we are taking the foods that feed pathogens out of our diet, and we are eating the healing foods, and we are drinking that celery juice every day, and we are getting those wild blueberries in our bodies every day to resurrect us, that's the resurrection food. If we are eating those healing foods and we are keeping the no foods out and taking care of ourselves, look, we are healing, period. Sometimes you might not see it. Sometimes you might have flares, and that's true. And there are things you can do for flares. A flare, generally, so the difference between detox and a flare, and I'm just going to bottom line it because that's not what this video is about, but like detox lasts maybe a couple of weeks at the most, and a flare can last longer, okay? If it's lasting a long time, it's a flare. And the way you do that is different. If it's detox and you're detoxing too hard, you kind of pull back. So you might go down on your supplements a little bit. You might start eating more cooked foods. If it's a flare, you want to go up on your supplements generally. You want to increase what you're doing to kind of lessen that flare. And you don't want to do it all at once either. You want to do it bit by bit because you want to make sure that it's not going to, have bad reactions or whatever. So you want to take it slow, but there are things you can do for flares. And if it still isn't letting up, maybe sometimes your body's saying like, I need more time. I need more time of rest. I need you to not do so much. Because a lot of times here's what happens. You can ask Coach Sarah Mitchell about this on Instagram at Coach Sarah Mitchell. She had an experience like this with her daughter. It's like you start feeling better, and then so you think I can do all this stuff and you can do more, but actually you can't, because what happens is that exhausts and taxes your adrenals, which then start running to help you do more, and it sets your healing back because you really shouldn't be doing that much yet. You have to go like really slow sometimes I know you think, I feel better, but I can go do all this stuff, but then what happens, and you end up in this like sort of crash flare for months or whatever. And I'm not saying this is every instance, I'm saying this is an example of something that can happen. And sometimes you just need to take it really, really slow. And I think part of why things have been consistent with me so far, not that I haven't had flares, because I have, they just don't last very long. I mean, like a couple of months I've had, a little bit of a flare. So, but I came out of it, I think, because I just listen to my body and I go, okay, I guess it's time to just not do all this stuff right now. Like, I just need to do the bare minimum and of taking care of myself, making sure I get my self-care and my supplements and my foods, and just supporting myself the best I can. And maybe I just need to kick back and not try to do things, because sometimes that's what you need to do. Sometimes your body's just like, just stop it. Stop pushing yourself hard. Stop doing stuff. I need more from you. I need more rest from you. I need more. And I know that that's easy to say, because what if you've got young kids and you've got a toddler and you've got to take care of them? I mean, you can only do what you can do, right? But I think for situations like that, that's when it's super important. If we're not able to do a bunch of physical stuff, then it's extra important to rely on the emotional stuff and lean on the angels. Even if you don't think they're there, even if you don't think they're listening, they're there, they're listening. Just because you don't know exactly what they're up to and how it's gonna look doesn't mean it's not happening, okay? So keep talking to the angels. Keep doing that every single day. I have a list of them. I printed it out for myself. I typed it up and I printed it out, and I made myself a list, and I keep it right next to my bed. So every night before bed, I make sure that if I haven't, that I'm going down the checklist and be like, talk to this and say to this one, say to this one. Now, you don't have to do it that way. That's just me, okay? That's my way. But for me, that's what works. Because then it helps me also remember who does what. Because I don't remember. I still have memory issues from my concussion years ago that are still healing. My neurological issues are still healing because those take the longest. And my memory's improving, sure, but I still don't remember that whole list. I don't have it memorized, and that's okay. So for me, I have the checklist, and I go down the list and I talk to each one and ask them for what I need to ask them for, and thank them for what I need to thank them for. And those meditations, choose whichever ones resonate for you. I like to just mix it up and do them all. Not every day, but I mean, like, I don't know, to pick one for a month. Focus on one. Do the sunset meditation for a month, every day for a month. Just be like, that's your challenge, the sunset meditation challenge. Every night for a month, make sure that you're focusing on that sunset for like 10 minutes. You don't have to be able to see it, just know it's happening, and think about the sunset, and have the intention of rebuilding trust, and think about that. Or do the one, if you have the luxury of being somewhere where there is a beach and you can watch a sunset on a beach, or even just go to a beach and listen to the waves. Oh, I loved that one so much when we were traveling, getting to go up and down every beach in California and doing that meditation at all those beaches. Oh my gosh, that was amazing. Bird song. Pretty much anybody can do bird song. There's always birds outside singing somewhere. Do the bird song. Bees, all of it. Just any meditation. Do the 3 stones. If you're really struggling and if you're really feeling down and you're having like a really hard time, look up the one with the 3 stones. Anthony says you take 3 stones. I'm paraphrasing. I'm probably not going to get it right. Please go look in the medical medium book for the complete information on this. But it's where you go find 3 stones out in nature somewhere. Make them not too big, because these are 3 stones you're going to carry with you like they're your best friends. You give your worries to those stones. You give your concerns to those stones. You do it for however long of a period of time you feel like you need to do it. But you do it every single day. And you put the stuff into those stones and you keep them with you, and you let those stones get to know you. Like I said, like they're your best friends, and you keep them in your pocket. You keep them everywhere you go. Eventually you will know when it'll be time to let those stones go. You take them to a body of water, a pond, a lake, a river, the ocean, whatever. A fountain, I don't care. I don't think it matters. You take them to a body of water and then you throw them in the water and you let them go and you let all of your worries go with those stones. I feel like that is an incredibly powerful one. That is the only one I haven't done yet, actually. And I should do that one because that's a good one. That's a good one. I actually want to do that one. I just haven't gotten out to get stones yet. Don't make them stones you already have. Go get new stones out of, any little rocks or stones, whatever. Do that. That's a really good one to just give your troubles and then off with the stones, and then the water washes it all away. Super powerful. So Anthony gives us all the tools we need in these books. It's all there. It's all there to help, like every part of it. So don't just focus on food and supplements. I think honestly what happens sometimes is people either just focus on one thing, but you got to do all of it and make sure you're getting laughter in, comedies or whatever makes you happy or lights you up and makes you smile, something that you can focus on that you love. I don't know if it's knitting or if you have some hobby or if you sew or if you're crafty or if you paint or if you maybe dancing is going to be too much. That might be too much for people. But whatever it is, something that lights you up, if it's photography or anything, if you like to write, or I know I'm naming creative things, but that's because that's what I like to do. But whatever your thing is, whatever lights you up, do that. Find time in your world to focus on that. Anything that brings you joy or happiness. Petting your animals. If you have animals, pet your animals. Look at pictures of animals on the internet. I know people make fun of that and they're like, oh, the animals on the internet. I don't think that's a waste of time. I think that's great because it brings your vibe up. Looking at pictures of animals, the obsessions people have with sloths and pugs and corgis and whatever. It's because these things bring them joy, and that's important. It's so important in your healing process to have things that bring you joy. So whatever that is, you find it and you do more of it. Just do it. Just do whatever lights you up. I love when my brain gets full and I'm feeling overwhelmed and things are too much. I'm just like, find me some dumb comedy. I love stand-up comedy. Lately, I've been watching old Vine videos because they're some of them are just absolutely stupid, but a lot of them are hilarious and they will make me laugh so much. And it's nonsense. It's just utter nonsense, but it's so funny, And some people are really talented. Some people were really good at Vines, and it's whatever makes you laugh, just whatever. It doesn't have to be hard or difficult. It can just be dumb Vines on the internet. Like YouTube is full of old Vine videos. They will make you laugh, whatever it is. So you just little by little, you just find those things to focus on. And the one where Anthony William talks about if focusing on your present and being in the present is harmful to your brain and it's sad and hard, then think about times when you did feel better and remember what that was like, or just think about what it will be like when you feel better again. And know that this is temporary. It is going to pass and your body is healing. Remember, your body has wisdom that you do not understand. There are things going on beneath the surface that you don't know about. I know I have to practice this trust all the time. It's funny how once we get to a certain point in our healing journey, we start to take it for granted a little bit and then think, well, how come I haven't gotten farther? But look how far you've come. For me, it's like Ichoda, but look how far you've come. Look what you've done. Look how far you were 2 years ago. 2 years ago, I could not stand for 5 minutes. I could not walk anywhere. I could not walk around my own house. I was just relegated to I just sat on the sofa all day and looked at my computer and did nothing. Like I just couldn't. I couldn't shower and I couldn't go anywhere. And I was allergic to the world. If I did leave the house, it was only ever to go to doctor's appointments. And I'd have to wear a mask, even in my own car. I had to wear a mask. I could not drive anymore. I lost the ability to drive. I couldn't my brain fog was so bad. It scared me. And if I named all the things I couldn't do, I'd be here all day. Cut forward to a year, and then I had a wheelchair, but I couldn't use it in my house because it was a manual wheelchair, and I couldn't push my body in a wheelchair. My body is heavy. And I had connective tissue disorder. I had Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, which is stretchy connective tissues in my case, really stretchy connective tissue. So if I tried to push myself in a wheelchair, like wheel in a wheelchair, I would sublux. I would pull my shoulders out of alignment and hurt myself. So I couldn't do that. So it's not like I could use a wheelchair to even get around my own house. I only was able to use it to go out, and my husband had to push me in it. And it was such an ordeal to go anywhere because of the showering and all that, which would that take me out. I never left the house. I didn't. I would only ever leave the house to go to doctor's appointments. And even that was so brutal. I canceled so many of them because I couldn't. I'd have migraines, or I can't go out today. I have anxiety. Like, that happened. I started to develop agoraphobia. I couldn't leave I was so panicky about leaving the house because I reacted. Every time I left the house, I'd come back. It'd be like, I'd be out for days. I would just be like completely out of commission, unable to do anything for days. So I didn't want to do it. Fast forward a year, I could go out places. We were traveling in the RV. We were going to all these different beaches. We were going to all these different places, and I could go out. I could not walk out. I could stand up for a lot longer, but I still couldn't like walk all day. So I needed the wheelchair to go out. So when we went to places, like we went to Biosphere when we were traveling, and we went to Legoland and Universal Studios, and we went to Monterey Bay Aquarium, and I needed the wheelchair for all of those places. And my husband would push me around in the wheelchair, and some places were way better than others, like Monterey Bay Aquarium, A++ for accessibility and disability access and accommodation. They were amazing. Universal Studios, not so much. You got to the front of the line, but like they didn't really do much to accommodate other than just letting you cut in line. And it's like, need a little more, like access to the bathrooms and stuff like that. That was harder, but just as an example. But I could go out, and sometimes I needed my mask and sometimes I didn't. I think most of the time I did need my mask for those places, but I was able to be out for the day and stuff like that. Like, I could do more. Now, I don't need the wheelchair. I don't need it. I don't need it. It's like another cut forward another year to now. Don't need the wheelchair. I can go out to places. I can walk around. I do need brakes. But I can walk. I don't have to have the wheelchair to be out. Now, being where we are now for this past, we haven't been here a year. We've been here maybe 9 months. That's been tricky because where we are now, there are some things like the water is really high. It's a really hard water, and it's been really hard on my healing. And I have less energy now than I actually did 9 months ago on it, like consistently. I kind of have less energy. That's hard because I'm like, oh, that's, it's kind of putting me back a little bit. But I know that I'm healing. I know what's hampering my progress, and I know kind of what it's like. I have the information, so it doesn't put me into a panic, and it doesn't scare me because I have the information, and I know what's going on. Now, of course, I'm going to still try to tweak things and take things up a notch and make things better for myself. But I think I'm more patient with the process because I'm like, okay, this is a process. It's going to take time. I'm not going to heal overnight, not even in a year, because I have 43 years of damage before I started this path that I've got to undo. My body has a lot of work to do, and it's doing its best, and it's going, but it's going to take time. So I guess my advice, so that I don't go too terribly long, because I know this video is already getting really long, I guess my advice is to just really have patience, to focus on and know that healing is a journey. It is a process and it takes time. You're not going to be healed overnight. Muniza talks about how, I mean, it was, I think, 6 or more years ago for her that she started healing. And although she is, you know, pretty much back to, I think, 100%, things can happen that will set her back still. You know, like she got a spider bite, like a deadly spider bite. And it really set her back. Now, thank God she had medical medium protocols, because she knew what to do and how to help herself heal. But like, she couldn't move her arm for months, and you know, like, she had to come back from that. And that's the thing, is we live on this planet where things are going to happen. We're going to be exposed to new pathogens. Things will happen, like a bite, or we can get some kind of other injury or things like that, and that can set us back. But that doesn't mean we're not healing. It just means then we know we have to take the time to recover. And I don't think we can do things. I know we want to, and we feel like, oh, I'm better now, I can do all this, but I don't think we can. I think we still need to. Anthony says 6 months after all symptoms disappear is when you know you've got the viruses all the way down, or the pathogens all the way down. 6 months after all symptoms disappear. But the second symptoms disappear, we're ready to go. We're like, I'm done and I'm good. But that's not really the case. Like, we really need to still know that our body is still working to heal. Even if we're not experiencing symptoms, there's still work being done. And because of the planet we live on, there's always going to be healing that our bodies have to do to cope with all of this. So again, my advice, be patient, have patience, focus on emotional stuff. If you feel like your healing is stalled, like, really get into angels and meditations, and really, you know, that holistic view. You can use homeopathy. That's something else that works for a lot of people. Emotional tools like emotion code and tapping and shamanic journeying and things like that, like meditation. They're like all of these things, meditations, again, to focus on the stuff, the tools that Anthony gives us, the meditations and the angels. Big place to focus, especially with restoring trust and faith, because I just want you to know that you are still healing, and maybe there's tweaks. Maybe there's tweaks you need to make to your supplements or protocols or whatever. And there are practitioners for that, and that's great. So people like Muniza or Dr. Sherry Green, so the Reclaimers of Health, and there's people that can help you make tweaks. And I just want you to know that you are healing. You are healing. And I know it can be so hard sometimes, because this is a journey, and it's hard to get used to, because it's like there's this medical medium community and we have this little bubble, but then like the rest of the world's not doing this, you know, but the rest of the world's not as chronically ill as we are either. They didn't get as sick as we got yet. And it doesn't mean that they won't, and it doesn't mean that there's something about us or whatever, but like, we're the canaries in the coal mine. We're the ones that have the chronic illness. And I think for a lot of people, it takes chronic illness to understand why you would turn to something that's so different than what people are used to. But don't let that have you lose heart. Don't lose your faith. Don't lose your heart. I mean, you are healing. This is temporary, even though it doesn't seem like it. Like, you can get through this. You can get through this. And I know it's hard. I don't by any means want to sound like I'm dismissing or diminishing or saying that like those feelings of hopelessness and helplessness and difficulty are invalid, because they are not. Like, that, it is hard to be that sick. It is hard to feel like crap. Especially when you have the contrast of what it starts to feel like when you start feeling better. It's like, oh, but I was feeling so good. Why did this happen? Sometimes it just happens. And I've had it happen. So you're not alone. You're not alone. There are other people who are experiencing this. This happens. This does happen. I mean, flares happen. Like I said, Muniza, who's been healing for years and she's doing spectacularly, she had this setback, but she knows what to do. And I think she's an amazing example and very inspiring, because she it's like, yeah, she had to take it easy, a little easier, and she had to, you know, really work hard and like get physical therapy for her arm and everything. Like, sometimes we need that. Sometimes we have to do things like that. But underneath it all, your body does know how to heal if you give it the right tools, and we are giving it the right tools. Maybe you need a little more of some tools, maybe a little less. I don't know. It's different for everybody. And I know that's the frustrating part, is it's such an individualized thing that it can be hard to know on our own sometimes. But I hope this was helpful. I hope this was helpful. I hope I said something that helped in some way. That's just, these are my thoughts, and this is how I feel, and this is what I've noticed and observed and seen, and I still have total faith in Anthony and the protocols because of just how deeply it has resonated for me, and how much I have seen watching social media and seeing all these other people and talking to other people, and how much I have seen it touch everyone's lives, and how much I have seen people heal. I think any setbacks are temporary. And I do think this is the way. This is the way to keep ourselves healthy and protected on this planet. And I think it's just all part of the process. So I hope that's useful to someone. I love you so much. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up down below. You can subscribe to my channel by hitting the subscribe button if you haven't already. Thank you so much to every single person who has subscribed to my channel, because I am just moved to tears. I'm not even kidding you. Every single time I see somebody subscribe, I'm like, really? I have information that's useful to people? This is great. Makes me so happy, because it's why I do this. It lights me up to know that I can reach other people and help other people on their healing path, so that you don't feel alone, and you know that there's others of us that are out here doing it along with you and that care about you, and we are healing, and we're all human, and we have setbacks, and it's okay. So thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you, every single one of you. I love you so much. I really do. Stay curious, my beautiful, beautiful healers and health seekers. And I will see you next time. Blessings, blessings, blessings for your continued healing. I love you. I love you. See you next time. Bye-bye.